Heeseung posted a handwritten letter to fans this morning, and the K-pop internet has not recovered since. This video breaks down everything he said, what the agency confirmed, and what all of it actually means for ENHYPEN going forward. March 10th is the date this fandom will remember for a while, because that's when Heeseung announced on Weverse that he's leaving ENHYPEN to pursue a solo career, and he made sure fans heard it from him before the news spread anywhere else. Not a hiatus, not a temporary break, and not a rumor that leaked before anything was confirmed. A deliberate, direct announcement written in his own handwriting, posted by him personally. That choice to go handwritten instead of letting a company statement do the work tells you a lot about how seriously he took this moment. BELIFT LAB released their own confirmation shortly after, stating that ENHYPEN continues as a 6-member group with Jungwon, Jae, Jake, Sunghoon, Sunu, and Nikki, while Heeseung moves forward as an independent solo artist. The letter is where this story actually lives, so that's where we're starting. Heeseung opened by acknowledging that ENGENE would be surprised, which is about as honest as an opener gets, and he said he wanted to speak directly to fans because of how suddenly everything came. 6 years with ENHYPEN, he wrote, were filled with moments so overwhelming and precious that words couldn't fully capture them, and he thanked the members for sharing those experiences with him. His gratitude toward ENGENE was specific too, not a general thank you, but the acknowledgement that their love filled every empty space and helped him get closer to dreams that once felt out of reach. What makes that framing worth paying attention to is that he wasn't closing anything. He was tracing how he got from there to here, and the letter reads that way throughout. Less like a goodbye, and more like someone explaining a decision they'd been sitting with for a long time. The music section of the letter is the part that reframes everything else. Heeseung has been writing and composing for years, with contributions including tracks like Highway 1009, but according to what he shared, that output represented only a portion of what he'd actually been working on. He told fans he shared many of his works with the company and spent a long time in discussions about how to eventually bring them to ENGENE. And then he said something that stopped a lot of people mid-read. He'd held that music back deliberately because he didn't want to put his own desires ahead of the team. Years of work sitting in a folder somewhere because he didn't want his ambitions to disrupt what ENHYPEN was building together. That reframes the timeline completely, and it shifts the story from Heeseung is leaving to Heeseung finally gets to show what he's been making. Those are two very different stories. Both his letter and the agency statement pointed to the same thing when it came to what actually changed, which was a conversation about direction. BELIFT LAB's wording was careful. After in-depth discussions about each member's vision and the team's future, they confirmed Heeseung had a clear musical path he wanted to follow, and they chose to respect it. That word, respect, carries weight in a K-pop agency statement. Departures in this industry don't always come with that kind of language attached. And when they do, it usually means the process looked different from the ones that don't. The coordination here, Heeseung speaking first and the company following, the absence of any conflicting information, suggests this was handled with more care than a lot of comparable situations. Here's where honesty matters more than a tidy take. ENGENE losing Heeseung changes things, and anybody telling you otherwise is skipping past the part that actually hurts. He was the oldest member, one of the most technically skilled performers in the group, and a defining part of what ENHYPEN looked and sounded like from the beginning. That's not a small adjustment, and fans who need time to sit with that are not being dramatic about it. And yet the letter keeps coming back to mind, because what Heeseung described wasn't someone pushed out or burned out or quietly managed toward the exit. He described someone who had something he needed to make, who waited longer than most people would have, and who finally made the call when the timing and the conversation with the company aligned. That's a different situation than it might look like from the outside, and it's worth holding both things at once, the loss and the reason for it, without flattening either one. What comes next is the part people are probably most uncertain about, and there are two separate threads worth following. ENHYPEN. As Six is not a group in crisis. Jungwon has been growing into a leadership role in a way that's been visible for a while now, and the remaining members have enough individual talent and collective momentum that this is an adjustment, not a collapse. The fan base they've built is devoted in a way that tends to carry groups through transitions like this one, and ENGENE has already shown they're capable of handling a lot. For Heeseung specifically, the solo era is coming, timeline still unknown, but his letter made clear he's actively working toward it. His exact words were that he wants to return with a better version of himself, and that phrasing, return rather than arrive, suggests he still sees ENGENE as his people, even in a different context. Highway 1009 gave a glimpse of what he sounds like when given creative space, and whatever he's been holding onto for years is presumably more developed than that. That's the part worth being genuinely curious about. The handwritten letter keeps pulling focus, and it probably should. Typed statements go through approval processes, get softened in legal review, and arrive prepackaged. A handwritten letter is just a person and a piece of paper deciding what they actually want to say. And Heeseung chose that format on the day he made the biggest career announcement of his life. He wrote to fans first, before media coverage picked it up, before the agency post went live, and before the discourse started. That's not a strategy. That's just someone who wanted the people who loved him to hear it directly from him, in his own words, in his own handwriting. Drop your thoughts in the comments because this one genuinely split the fandom, and I want to read where everyone lands, whether you're still processing the loss or already thinking about what his solo music is going to sound like. A like on this video helps more than you'd think, and if you're not subscribed yet, this is a good moment to do it since I cover situations like this as they unfold. Take care of yourselves, ENGENE. This one was a lot to carry.